After 𝐇𝐎𝐏𝐄 passes the 7 trials of the underworld, and is resurrected, his as of late deceased more youthful sibling 𝐄𝐍𝐉𝐻 is guided by similar 3 guardians 𝐼𝐻 and 𝐷𝐼𝐒 and 𝐾𝐍𝐉𝐻 to start his trial also. Before they show up at Lord Yomra, the Lord of the Underworld's court, they should battle off an army of sand demons that have brought forth to kill 𝐄𝐍𝐉𝐻, as he conveys the mark of inevitable soul, considering that his soul looked for vengeance on his killers during the battle. Lord Yomra awards them passage and they introduce themselves before him. He is irate with 𝐾𝐍𝐉𝐻 as bringing a vindictive soul into the underworld is contrary to the guidelines. 𝐾𝐍𝐉𝐻 contends that, as indicated by the principles, a soul whether or not vindictive or not can be conceded a fair trial. If their demise was uncalled for, he says that 𝐄𝐍𝐉𝐻's passing was low as he was covered alive, subsequent to being shot by accident as a conceal which brought about his demise. Yet, eventually it's about the expectation did his 2 companions realize he was as yet alive, at the point when they were covering him, or did they think he was at that point dead? Just a trial can uncover the response, so Lord Yomra awards 𝐄𝐍𝐻 a trial, yet this trial will be different as per the standards. Rather than going through each of the 7 trials, 𝐄𝐍𝐻 will just go through the ones attached to his demise, which will at last uncover whether his killers realized they were covering him alive. There are simply 2 trials associated with his passing, unfairness and brutality. To start the main trial, they should travel through 4 distinct hells to get there. 𝐾𝐍𝐉𝐻 will take 𝐄𝐍𝐻 on this venture, however that doesn't mean these 2 are let free presently. Lord Yomra has an undertaking for them on the edges of a shanty town in South Korea, carries on with the unfortunate elderly person named 𝐄𝐍𝐉𝐻 with his grandson 𝐿. 𝐄𝐍𝐉𝐻's demise has been very much past due now anyway. He worships 1,000-year-old family god called 𝐷𝐸. In the wake of paying attention to the man's requests, 𝐷𝐸 chose to show up to the man one day and help him. He lives with him, helping him with tasks. What's more, even plays uncle to 𝐿. At whatever point Lord Yomra sends guardians to gather 𝐄𝐍𝐉𝐻's soul. 𝐷𝐸, being a miscreant god, generally forestalls them. What's more, sends them running with their tails between their legs. Since 𝐼𝐻 is one of the baddest mofos and the most experienced guardian after 𝐾𝐍𝐉𝐻, he is told to go collection 𝐄𝐍𝐉𝐻's soul alongside 𝐷𝐸 and to kill 𝐷𝐸 by crushing the pottery container he generally conveys with him, which is in reverence containing his remains that he should protect, or, in all likelihood, he will die to exacerbate the situation. Lord Yomra puts a period cutoff of 49 days on every one of these errands. All in all, if inside that time outlined 𝐾𝐍𝐉𝐻 can't go 𝐄𝐍𝐻 through the 2 trials and the other 2 can't gather 𝐄𝐍𝐉𝐻's soul, they will be deprived of the title of guardian and rebuffed. 𝐄𝐍𝐻 will be tossed into everlasting condemnation without a trial. Failing to find the container, 𝐼𝐻 and 𝐷𝐸 speed things up and endeavor to gather 𝐄𝐍𝐉𝐻's soul, yet 𝐷𝐸 steps in and annihilates the 2 of them. While 𝐄𝐍𝐉𝐻 dozes adequately later, he'll require a decent night's rest if he needs to carry on with a solid long life, as both of them ask for pardoning. 𝐷𝐸 is amazed they don't recall him. He lets them know that he was both of their guardian into the underworld when they died quite a while back. He tracks down it extremely peculiar that Lord Yomra cleaned their recollections of their previous existences, as this isn't standard methodology, and the Lord had never done it before. Additionally, he's in reality a cool person. He tells them that the explanation he's forestalling the old man's demise is on the grounds that he's the as it were family the young man 𝐿 has left. Since they were truly poor, 𝐄𝐍𝐉𝐻 couldn't bear to send 𝐿 to school previously, yet he will join in his first day in quite a while. He needs the kid to have the memory of his granddad taking him to school on his most memorable day, so he expresses that following 40 days they can have the elderly person. Up to that point he'll kick their asses assuming they attempt. In the interim, 𝐾𝐍𝐉𝐻 spears a huge fish monster in the stream of 3 crossings and utilization 𝐄𝐍𝐻 as lure to accelerate their excursion. Also, get to the trials faster on the planet. 𝐸 and 𝐷𝐸 stow away out and keep an eye on 𝐷𝐸 while enduring the 40 days. They see as a lone shark and his posse come hoping to gather a long late installment from 𝐄𝐍𝐉𝐻. 𝐷𝐸 begs them, however they push him out the way and obliterate 𝐄𝐍𝐉𝐻's home, freeing himself from the title of guardian and turning into a family god. Implies that 𝐷𝐸 can't hurt people regardless of whether he attempted this is. When 𝐸 ventures into deal, he offers to just not maintain the 40-day limitation, yet in addition have the memorial service and 𝐿 taken care of. When 𝐄𝐍𝐉𝐻 dies, consequently he needs 𝐷𝐸 to help 𝐷𝐸 and recuperate every one of the lost recollections of their previous existences. He hesitantly concurs, then their discussion is interfered with by the predatory lender, taking steps to break 𝐿's leg as an example to his granddad. Yet as 𝐸 steps in and shows them why that is not a very decent comment by breaking all of their legs as a trade-off for this sort motion. 𝐷𝐸 stays true to his obligation by telling 𝐸 about his previous existence. It seems 𝐸 was an even better mofo once upon a time quite a while back during the Goryeo dynasty. 𝐓𝐇𝐈𝐒 was one of the best military commanders, known as White Wildcat for the white fur scarf he generally wore during fight. He butchered numerous Jurchen intruders at the northern line by the handfuls, while as yet keeping his white fur scarf flawless in light of the fact that even their blood was hesitant to get applauded by the Wildcat. That evening the Guardian convinced Songju that the best spot for Yundong is an orphanage, so the following day they plan a gathering with the director, who tells them that she'll require a report from his guardian demonstrating that they aren't ready to deal with him any longer. Outside, 𝐷𝐿𝐼𝐒 plays with a gathering of stranded kids, and Songju noticed how she's never changed in 1,000 years from before life. 𝐷𝐿𝐼𝐒 was a 18-year-old jerk. Furthermore, young lady who lived in a little town at the point when they were gone after by Goryeo invaders. She escaped with all the young kids to the mountains and took care of them. When they return to 𝐵𝐿𝐼𝐒, he won't send Yundong to the orphanage as he accepts that would mean he failed as a granddad, so they conclude that after 𝐵𝐿𝐼𝐒's passing, Songju will turn into his legitimate guardian. Soon thereafter, Songju tells 𝐵𝐿𝐼𝐒 and 𝐷𝐿𝐼𝐒 that they run into each other in their previous existences. One day when 𝐷𝐿𝐼𝐒 came down from the mountains to track down nourishment for the youngsters she was gone after by a tiger, yet, you see, in those days 𝐵𝐿𝐼𝐒 was an even better mofo. He acts the hero and kills the tiger. In the wake of distinguishing her as a jerkin young lady, he requests she lead him and his men to her safe house, and later breaking in they find every one of the children. 𝐵𝐿𝐼𝐒's right-hand man advises him that they're young kids, so they ought to root them full scale, and 𝐵𝐿𝐼𝐒 says he'll make it happen himself prior to taking a sword and strolling into the lodge, while 𝐷𝐿𝐼𝐒 gazes weakly. Ruth them out implied cook them a pleasant they did warm dinner. Since that, on television 𝐵𝐿𝐼𝐒 sees that Suhong's body was found and the two capable for his passing were captured along the venture. 𝐾𝐍𝐉𝐻 and Suhong squabble about his demise. Suhong trusts that his passing was a certifiable misstep on his two companions' parts that they truly accepted. He was dead when they were covering him also. In the event that they realized he was as yet alive, they would have halted and helped him. He says they were like siblings to him and it's basically impossible that they'd sell out him. Yet 𝐾𝐍𝐉𝐻 hinders him, saying that he was once sold out by his own sibling in his previous existence apparently. However, 𝐾𝐍𝐉𝐻 had turned into a guardian at a similar time as 𝐷𝐿𝐼𝐒 and 𝐵𝐿𝐼𝐒, as he still holds every one of his recollections. So quite a while back, 𝐾𝐍𝐉𝐻's dad, General 𝐵𝐿𝐼𝐒, was the commander of the Goryeo armed force against the 𝐇𝐎𝐒. When 𝐾𝐍𝐉𝐻 was a teen, his dad made him follow along on the battlefield with the goal that he might learn, furthermore, follow his strides to turn into an incredible general also. At whatever point the 𝐇𝐎𝐒 would give up after a decimating misfortune, 𝐵𝐿𝐼𝐒 would let them go. 𝐾𝐍𝐉𝐻 was against this. He accepted that they were Barbara variations. What's more, merit no kindness, yet his dad continuously favored leniency over killing. One day, while advancing back through a conflict-torn Khitan town, they see a young man, the last one standing of his town, comforting a harmed horse. Having pity, he cuts and kills the horse, so it doesn't experience in torment. 𝐵𝐿𝐼𝐒 appreciates this trait and chooses to ultimately take on it. The kid outperforms 𝐾𝐍𝐉𝐻 in everything from board games to sword battle, and 𝐾𝐍𝐉𝐻 watches as they develop nearer at whatever point he isn't around. His dad calls the kid's child and the kid calls him father. 𝐾𝐍𝐉𝐻 is frantic years and years after the fact. Before a last fight with one of the Khitan fronts, 𝐾𝐍𝐉𝐻 snoops on a discussion between his dad and sibling. His dad needs his sibling to lead the vanguard against the 𝐇𝐎𝐒, as he accepts the 𝐇𝐎𝐒 are on the back foot, despite the fact that it was implied to be 𝐾𝐍𝐉𝐻's honor. His dad says that 𝐾𝐍𝐉𝐻's failure to have pity will bring about a ton of pointless losses while he was off base. Without 𝐾𝐍𝐉𝐻's forceful technique, quite a bit of the cutting edge was killed off, including his dad, and they needed to withdraw. Later, that 𝐾𝐍𝐉𝐻 had become commander of the Goryeo armed force, and he never excused his sibling, accepting him to be the explanation his dad died. That evening, 𝐷𝐿𝐼𝐒 and 𝐵𝐿𝐼𝐒 inquired Songju more about their lives, and he lets them know that they had become close companions. Yet, one day 𝐵𝐿𝐼𝐒 gets some information about her guardians, and she lets him know that they were basic ranchers, who were killed when the Goryeo went after their town. She says they were killed by the general known as White Wildcat, who wore a white fur scarf that covered the lower part of his face. Oh my terrible, says 𝐵𝐿𝐼𝐒 quietly inside his head. 𝐾𝐍𝐉𝐻 and Suhong show up at the main trials, the Hell of Injustice, where souls are rebuffed in ice for many years. They present themselves before Lord 𝐵𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐒. The prosecutors express that subsequent to turning into a vengeful soul, Suhong had unleashed devastation on the living scene and the underworld. Furthermore, therefore he is a grave sinner also, ought to be restricted in ice for 500 years. When 𝐾𝐍𝐉𝐻 expresses that his killers realized they were covering him alive, Lord 𝐵𝐻𝐿𝐼𝐒 requested to see evidence, yet, all of Suhong's records were tossed out as convention. When he transformed into inevitable soul, so 𝐾𝐍𝐉𝐻 brings a witness from the living scene, Dong Young, the man who shot Suhong while in clinic, later endeavoring to take his life out of responsibility for what he did. They call him during his rest, trusting this to be a fantasy. He at first responses all of their questions, yet, when 𝐾𝐍𝐉𝐻 squeezes him about whether he saw that Suhong was as yet alive when he covered him, Dong-young ends up being incredibly bothered and experiences a cardiovascular failure and passes on. Now the charge of homicide has additionally been added to Soo-hong's records, and as such he now should confront a trial in the damnation of murder. Lord Ergo permits them to pass to the next trials as it's as yet unclear whether Soo-hong was killed intentionally. However, the next trial might uncover the response the following day, when Song-ju and the two guardians are preparing to go to court with the goal that he can turn into Yun Dong's legal guardian. 𝐷𝐿𝐼 and Hyun start arguing. She is sickened by him for killing her honest parents and she says she never forgave him nor will she ever. Goodness. Yet, she did expresses Song-ju later figuring out how he treated her parents. Hyun needed to tell her and request pardoning. Yet, he never had the mental fortitude to do really good or bad, rather realizing he wouldn't have the option to really focus on her and the youngsters. As he had a place on the battlefield, he's shown them all that he knew about endurance. At whatever point, he would report to his superior General Mi Leon. He would lie about the food supply him and his men required, so he could give more to 𝐷𝐿𝐼 and the children. After Song-ju effectively turns into Yun Dong's legal guardian, they advance back home, just to track down that the loan sharks from prior had returned when they were out, annihilated the whole place, and gone after Hyo Chun Sam quickly. Song-ju tumbles to the ground before while vandalizing the home. The loan sharks had broken Song-ju's jar and presently he's withering as he develops more fragile. He keeps on recounting their story. On one occasion, Mi Leon became dubious, so he tormented one of Hyun's men until he come clean with him. He tied Hyun and his companion to a tree and left them for the wolves, while embarking to sea as the kids hide away and kill them. However, you see, in those days Hyun was a stunningly better mofo. After killing the wolves, he drags his companion's body without help from anyone else, as far as possible up to the mountains and cautions 𝐷𝐿𝐼 before Mi Leon and his men can get to them. As Mi Leon approaches, Hyun tells 𝐷𝐿𝐼 to leave with the children. While he gets them time before she leaves, he takes out the white fur scarf and ties it around all her warm. He then tells her he is sorry. She starts to cry. Be that as it may, in her agony she actually embraces and pardons him as she leaves. Hyun turns to Mi Leon and his men and draws his sword for the last time. At the following trial in the Hell of Violence, 𝐾𝐿 requests that Lord Jing Wong contrast the trial so that all charges might be taken care of in the last trial. Likewise, he needs Lord Yeomra to be available at the last trial as Pertis, and sees 𝐾𝐿 puts his guardianship and his own resurrection on the line to get this going, both of which he should forfeit if he loses the trial. It is conceded and he and Soo-hong advance toward the damnation of murder. However, Soo-hong is savvy, addressing the lengths 𝐾𝐿 will go to. He sorts out that 𝐾𝐿 isn't simply doing this for him, yet, additionally for himself, so he asks 𝐾𝐿 what recollections from his previous existence are so awful, that he needs to clear them out for good. Furthermore, be resurrected. As Song-ju approaches his final gasp, he tells the two guardian that no one is intrinsically positive or negative. It is terrible had conditions that make awful aims, and afterward terrible individuals in bad habit. He then, at that point, says that they ought to continuously read things and reverse them, they will all seem okay. Song-ju then breaks down Hyun now gradually getting a handle on the mysterious message left in Song-ju's last words records, Mi Leon's name on a piece of paper, and turns it around, uncovering that retrogressive it spells 𝐾𝐿 in Korean. That is, then we see the last standoff. 𝐾𝐿 draws his sword on the vulnerable Hyun, who evidently was his adoptive sibling. In the event that you didn't get that yet, he asks him to save the children, yet, 𝐾𝐿 kills him just for him to be committed suicide by 𝐷𝐿𝐼 just for her to be killed by him. As each of them three lie there, Lord Yeomra approaches 𝐾𝐿 and inquires as to why he is crying. Is it since he got squandered by a young lady, or in light of the fact that he's upset for what he did? As 𝐾𝐿 and Soo-hong show up in the last court prior to Lord Byong-song, Hyun and 𝐷𝐿𝐼 hide out and observe the trial. 𝐾𝐿 summons one more witness, Park Moo-shin, the other man responsible for Soo-hong's death. Park slips into a daze while in the jail. Also, Yard and his consciousness shows up in the court. 𝐾𝐿 asks him whether he realized that Soo-hong was still alive when he covered him. Yet, Park is reluctant to answer 𝐾𝐿. Then, at that point, asks Lord Yeomra why his dad Gang Moon-jik's death was recorded as a homicide and not a fair death on the battlefield. What's more, he answers that this is on the grounds that he was killed by 𝐾𝐿 himself. After 𝐾𝐿 affirms this, Lord Yeomra then inquires him why he got it done. So things being what they are, 𝐾𝐿 kind of in fact might have sort of killed his dad the day after the battlefield. 𝐾𝐿 and his men went to the cutting edges to find survivors. 𝐾𝐿 recognized his dad covered under his other men, yet, he was as yet alive. 𝐾𝐿 then decided to abandon his dad and instruct his men to withdraw. He was worried about the possibility that his father would make Hyun commander-in-chief, assuming he may do. However, sometime thereafter he was overwhelmed with culpability, so he returned to the battlefield. However, it was past the point of no return. This is what spurred him to help Soo-hong, as his demise helped him to remember his dad's, and he lamented what he did each and every day for the beyond 1000 years. He lamented not having the option to apologize to his father that day when he died. Lord Yomra offered him an arrangement as recovery, yet additionally to make it up to the guiltless individuals he had recently killed, he would make 𝐄𝐍𝐉𝐻 and both of them guardians, yet, he would wipe their recollections, while leaving 𝐄𝐍𝐉𝐻's recollections unblemished as a discipline. If 𝐄𝐍𝐉𝐻 could effectively pass 49 souls through the 7 trials during the following 1,000 years, Lord Yomra will resurrect 𝐼1 and 𝐷𝐼𝐒𝐿. He will additionally resurrect 𝐄𝐍𝐉𝐻 and wipe all of his memories. 𝐄𝐍𝐉𝐻 takes the arrangement having regretted what he did and needing to fail to remember it all. He needed 𝐼1 and 𝐷𝐼𝐿 to get another opportunity at life also. He needed one without the weight of culpability for his transgressions. In the wake of finding out about 𝐄𝐍𝐉𝐻's immense regret for what he did to his dad, Park acquires the fortitude to admit that he and Dongyan did in truth know that Su-hong was alive, at the point when they covered him. Since he was battling to earn a living wage with a child on the way and a promotion around the corner, he persuaded himself it was as well late. In any case, he then, at that point, apologizes to Su-hong and he is pardoned before he leaves also. Gets once again to prison. This additionally implies Dongyan passed on from the shock of culpability instead of murder. Lord Beyond Song then clears Su-hong of his charges and shipped in line for resurrection. Su-hong was 𝐄𝐍𝐉𝐻's 49th soul. Then they go to collection Hyo Chun Sam soul, yet they choose to contrast his rising until Yundong Graduate School. Up to that point they will remain guardians rather than resurrecting. Then 𝐄𝐍𝐉𝐻 takes the other 2 guardian to direct the next soul, who is Dongyan. Before they start the trials he endeavors to confess all to 𝐷𝐼𝐿 and Hyun about how he treated them. Accepting they don't have the foggiest idea as they have currently excused him, and that's what let him know it's 1,000-year-old story. The end. If you like this story, please subscribe to the channel and like it to motivate me to bring you more stories like this.